If KO Armed and Dangerous uses Mandible Claw, does young KO use Boidable Claw? Fresh and Buds now.
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all my buds. And today we welcome back TCGTed. How's it going, my friend? Welcome back to the show.
It's going great. Thanks for the invite back. I am excited to be back.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you back. We're going to have a good time. We got a great show for you all today. We're going to be making some predictions, maybe. You know, we'll ease up on too much speculation, but I've been known to go a little wild. But Compendium of Wraith is going to change a lot of things, I think, for Flesh and Blood. So it's worth kind of talking about it. But we got to catch up with Ted first. See what's been going on. How you been? What's new with you? How's content been?
Yeah, things have been going good, man. I chose kind of hastily to go to Auckland calling. So like that was a whole adventure. I guess if we're going back a little bit now, that was back in August, I believe. You know, I've been to Japan, I've been to Korea, dude. When the guys from LSS, when you see them in an event and they're like dead tired and like eyes are bloodshot, it's because New Zealand is like, it feels like it's on a different planet. Like the travel is insane. I got there and I was like, oh, I understand now. It was far away, but it was worth going. It was a lot of fun. Went to Philly as well. Saw you there.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice catching up. Philly was super cool. But yeah,
closer
content. Yeah, a lot closer. A 1 hour flight versus a 24-hour flight is crazy. But yeah, man, I've just been having fun playing Fab. I kind of got back into CC a little bit recently, and you know, I definitely love me some Gravy Bones, like just all the decision trees you get in that hero. Deconstructed my Florian deck. Very sad about that, but picked up Verdance. And I want to keep the record straight here. I was planning to play Verdance before she became the best deck in the format. I swear to you, that is. And then all of a sudden, she's like wins every Pro Quest or something. I'm like, well, now I look like I'm just net decking here. But I just got to get some Fellings resolved, man. Yeah. Felling of the Crown is like, oh, let me resolve that card as many times as possible, right?
Yeah, I thought you meant open them. I'm like, well, they reprinted it.
Yeah, no, man. Earth Heroes can't get enough of them.
Yeah. I mean, Florian. So, what was the ultimate decision to move off of Florian? You know, as
just
a
great. Like Gravy Bones came out. And he had like not a lot of game into that matchup, and he was also very popular. Mm-hmm. So it was just not fun, like beating your head against the wall, especially because he's kind of like the one action. You know, I do a thing and then I go next and I try to block. You know, we all know if you played Fab long enough, board state decks that don't work so well. So so I was like, well, you know, I could try Verdance. Never played a wizard before, but had a lot of fun playing her.
Yeah, she's really cool. I thought that I would maybe dip my toes into her as well, because I really enjoyed her in Limited, because that was like a lot of fun. But then Super Slam came out, and I was like, okay, Brutes are back on the menu. RKO is awesome. Tough Nut's awesome. But, you know, I'm interested to see, you know, what's going to happen. Actually, this is probably a good time to ask this question, because in between now when this episode comes out and the next episode comes out, we will have a banned and restricted announcement, right? And I think on the 13th. So do you think there's going to be any kind of changes to CC? Because from the outside looking in, you look at like top eights and they're like relatively diverse, right? But also there's some trends where like Verdance was kind of a little oppressive at one point, and then Syndra really became oppressive. Do
Yep.
you expect anything here, at least for CC? I'm sure maybe some additional Silver Age stuff might come up too.
Yeah, so I've kind of been back and forth on this, and I've had to remind myself, and like even when I talk to like locals and things like that, it's like, things in the past just kind of like disappear. Um, and there was a dev talk where once Aurora LL'd, where they talked about their new strategy. And
Mm-hmm.
that new strategy was to ban or to adjust faster and adjust more often so that heroes can last like 18 months. And then that was also the dev talk where they came out with the half point LL, the different levels of LL point gain. So I have to I've kind of convinced myself that this is the BNR where we probably see that effect the largest.
Mm-hmm.
Syndra she's just under a year released, and they said in that dev talk that they want heroes to be 18 months or so. So I do think, and I think Syndra's powerful enough to where she'll get a touch to keep her around a little bit longer. I know it's interesting. I don't know if you've experienced this, but there is some pushback on that half point LL quite a bit, right? And I do get, when I bring up this topic, I do get a lot of like, I get some hand wringing about like, oh, they should just let the hero LL. But also, Aurora just disappearing was like not good, right?
No.
So I do think Syndra Gravy actually falls into that same bucket if I'm thinking about it as well. Like, yeah, he's out there winning and collecting points, but they don't want him to like LL before the year's up. So yeah, I think Gravy and Syndra are probably the top two that I would expect to get some changes done to. Verdance, I'm not sure. It just really depends if they like the reach she has at the end of the game. Because at like 9 life, you're
Mm-hmm.
in threat range because of the 6 arcane spells. I don't think Verdance. I think Verdance could probably stay unchanged, but you could probably touch Syndra and Gravy a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see. And then, like you mentioned, I think Sage is going to get. I think the Sage list is going to be extensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We're getting a lot more data on the Sage stuff. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
we'll talk about Sage in a little bit with Compendium of Wraith because,
yeah.
allegedly it's going to like affect that format in a
Mm-hmm.
large way. But yeah, looking at the Living Legend points right now, right? Looking at Syndra, who is just about to hit a year, is at 665, right?
Yeah,
So I would expect her to get hit if we're to believe the LSS is going to follow up on that kind of mantra that they put
yeah.
out. And then Gravy, not too bad, right? Looking at Gravy,
Right.
285, and he already took a big hit.
But he's also
Still,
just a silly deck. He does
yeah,
silly stuff
yeah,
still, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's like I love the deck, and I'm like, man, I wish I could keep it. Like the Tipple ban was already kind of like, oh, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but he just keeps winning like through that, and it's
Yeah.
just like, well, and he does. And he does things that are just so ridiculously above rate at times, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yes, they're inconsistently, so it's like one game you just like can't play the game, it's like non-functional, and then the other game you just like wipe your opponent off the board because you're like, ooh, made of gold, ooh, pitch to blue, ooh, and it just spirals and snowballs. So he probably needs to be adjusted. If some tipples come back, maybe
Mm-hmm.
if they take away some of his other powerful cards, yeah, something. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens to Gravy, even though his LL points are not like at a threat of him LLing in the next 6 months.
Well, 285 in since when was that? June. So like it's about 6 months right now. So it's still a decent amount, a chunk of points. And when did they start the point 0.5? Was that before high
It was
seas?
just before high
Mm-hmm.
seas, so
Yeah.
realistically, it should be double that. So he's, if we were back on the 1 point, the 1x range, he'd be up over 500 already by a
Yeah.
good margin. So Yeah, he'd be cooking with gas if they didn't pull back on the LL points.
Yeah, yeah. And then looking at Verdance, I think she's at just about to hit the 18-month, right? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was.
just past a year. So
Mhm.
I think Verdance is probably in the range of where they're like, okay, let's see what she does in PQ season, and then if she LLs during, or sorry, RTN season, and then if she LLs in the PQ season for Las Vegas into Las Vegas, that would be like chef's kiss for them, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
get her out of there, and then I mean, well, listen, Kano's definitely gone, right
Oh
after
yeah, yeah,
RTN
yeah,
season. So there's going to be, I mean, a lone wizard, right? Just Acilio left,
yeah.
and
Acilio and Verdance, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. If both Kano and Verdance go, yeah, I would like to
Oh yeah.
see something happen with Syndra for sure. Gravy, it's one of those, like you said, it's like a silly deck that can do crazy things, but it's very inconsistent. But like,
Mm.
what else do you like hit? Like, when does it become like totally unplayable? You know?
Yeah, I think you, and I've heard this. Shout outs to the Runaways guys. They've been kind of pounding this drum. It's like, to me, Chum feels like the easiest
Hmm.
target just to pull his, like, he's just so good when Chum is like super effective. And if you like take away that tool, you then, you know, make him a little bit softer into a number of matches, and maybe that's enough. I don't know. It is hard to like figure out what they could possibly take away from him though, because he's got crazy stuff and like multiple cards,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like chart high seas nuts. Yeah.
It's all just. I mean, I feel like things are best when they hit those like butter cards that kind of just make the deck run
Hmm.
smoother. That's why they hit Tipple. So, but from
Yeah.
Syndra, the one thing I want to see gone is Throw Dagger. I, as much as I would
Mm.
love Flick Knives to be banned, you can't because that,
You can. Yeah.
like, not like, yeah, I understand. First of all, it's a legendary. That would
Yeah.
be not great. They just reprinted it, but also it
Yeah.
kind of like hurts all those assassins that like use it in a
Yeah.
somewhat fair fashion.
Yeah. There's just like, yeah, it's kind of her like payoff card.
Hmm.
It was a little surprising when Syndra came out to me, honestly, that they like built a hero around that legendary. It
Hmm.
kind of feels like she's like, oh, flick daggers. This is kind of what we had in mind. This is neat, and it's like, wow. And I mean, the price of that card got out of control because of it, right? But like you said too, it hits multiple. Like Mario would just be devastated because then he can't get his. It's harder to get his Chalicera out and things like that. I mean, I honestly, I'm gonna be straight with you. I don't really know much about Syndra. I
Oh,
haven't
oh,
played.
really?
I haven't played a ninja in a long time. I played against her a little bit. I would say like just some of the glue pieces. I heard like maybe Brand with Cinderclaw is one of the parts that they could just like limit it to a color or take away a couple colors.
Hmm.
Something just small with her because I don't think she's like crazy, but
No.
she will do some damage at local tournaments, right? So PQ season, RTN seasons, her numbers will be just as high as we just saw in the last PQ season, and so she'll be farming
Yeah.
out there. So
No, I agree because it mean, like, yeah, you said like she doesn't have a lot going. It's just draft chaff and then a really good
yeah,
legendary and her hero ability, right?
yeah,
So I think Throw Dagger is the best target if they just want to take away one thing because it just gives another Flick Knives interaction
hmm,
um, in your hand that replaces itself and just like, okay, like
yeah,
how do we kind of mitigate that? And then the assassins don't really use that card, so
yeah,
that's the drum I've been beating for a while now. Speaking of, you mentioned Silver Age probably gonna get
hmm,
slammed, but the question is, you pay attention to the market. How is Silver Age affecting the
yeah.
Flesh and Blood market?
Dude, Silver Age is crazy for the market in Flesh and Blood. So it like instantly turned on it like made cards move that were just like perma-dead forever, right? And the first ones were like all these young hero marvels that
Mm-hmm.
like just dwindled down because no one like Blitz. I know there's a lot of Blitz lovers out there, and I'm sorry that your format's gone. It was not for me.
Yeah,
I've
me
been
neither.
pretty vocal about that as well. Um, and uh, it just like all those Marvel heroes just sat around and did nothing, right? All the young ones.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Silver Age got announced, and they just started climbing. And then also like the promo Young Heroes, like cold foil versions. It's been a lot of bling in Silver
Yeah.
Age. So it's like, well, the deck's gonna cost me $25, but I'm gonna bling it out, right? Give me all my rainbow foils, give me all my cold foils. And it just took like a whole subsection of Flesh and Blood that just like has been sub $20, let's say, for like these like bling pieces and just shot them to the moon. It's been really interesting to see how that's panned out.
Yeah, yeah, because like that means the one path that makes the most sense, right? Because the whole point is the cards are not supposed to be expensive, but
Right.
then you're like, okay, might as well start digging out the cold foils that I
Yeah.
opened of the Blade Beckoners and stuff like that. Like I was digging through all
Yeah.
my hunted stuff. I was like, I gotta
Mhm.
have some bling in here, right? And yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see how that kind of evolves, but there's a lot of like big question marks. What's the ban list going to look like? Because it's already pretty
Yeah. Yeah.
expansive. Anything off the top of your head you think that gets hit right away?
Oh, Soul Reaping. LSS, if you're listening, I don't know how you forgot that Soul Reaping was a rare, but you can't let Chain have Soul Reaping in Silver Age. Like, what are we doing? Like, that is for sure. Like, I'm surprised they weren't just like tweeting it out, be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we forgot." Like, that card's just silly, man. It was
Yeah.
silly in CC. It's crazy in a 20 health format. It's yeah. I mean, I can like lock of the year say that card's gone. Like it has to be.
Yeah.
Has to
Yeah.
be.
I forgot it was a rare as well.
Yeah.
And, I've told this story in the podcast before, but my first tournament ever was RTN Monarch season, right? And I'm playing Chain. And it's first time like really playing the deck in person with other
Yeah.
people. And I'm like reading Soul Reaping because like I bought a lot of cards and I kind of threw together
Yeah.
this deck and I'm like, yeah, can I just like ask a judge something real quick? And they're like, yeah, sure. I go over to the judge. I'm like, does this work the way I think it does? And he's like, oh yeah. And I was like, all right, this seems insane. He's like, the judge was like, yeah, it is. Oh
Yeah.
man. So
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
that one's
my
going.
first card that I got signed by James White in New Jersey at the first Pro Tour.
Oh,
And
nice.
I told him, I was like, man, I was like, why'd you, and it was jokingly, I was like, why'd you got to make this a legendary? And he's like, looks at me like, what are you talking about? He's like, are you kidding? I'm like, yes, I'm joking. Obviously, this could only be a one of, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh man, they should start upshifting stuff from legendary to just regular. And I'm thinking specifically collapsing trap. That would be kind of neat
Mm.
to play three of them.
Right? Yeah, I think that will be a controversial. I mean,
Whatever, Syndra's really good right now. Like let's
right?
just
Yeah,
rather than take anything away from her, let's give Riptide more. But
yeah. There, um, yeah, kind of just to wrap up this point too. So there's been a lot of blade movement. There's been a lot of non-foil prices
Hmm.
movement too. If you look at your like your red humbles, arcane polarity red,
Mm,
obviously arcane polarity red and sage is nuts.
yeah,
Like if you're going against any kind of arcane damage, and especially rune chance, it's like you just blow out Viscera, you blow out Chain. Um, but yeah, there's been here and there, and I would say like be careful. I haven't really touched on those too much because I expect a lot of the obvious ones to be reprinted, right? For sure. So,
hmm
but yeah, even like people are pretty excited for it, right? If we're seeing non-foils like commons and rares get to like $2-3, yeah, people are excited for Silver Age.
it's very cool. Now we're gonna talk a little bit about Compendium, but first we gotta take a step back and talk a little bit about Super Slam and get your Super Slam fresh faves. Starting off with the first question. Which Super Slam hero was your favorite?
So it changed. In Montreal, it was Lyeth for sure. I thought he was super cool. And then I found out that my pools were just broken. my my sealed pools were just absolutely cracked. I was like, wait, you don't get 3 cruel intentions every sealed pool. But by the end of Worlds, it's definitely RKO. That like KO is just such a fun deck. He plays on a different axis. It's just so interesting, especially in limited. And he's actually like playing him in limited has made me kind of think about playing him in CC as well, because you're just like playing for this end game and you're like, okay, well, I got this blue feisty locals that I'll pitch now and he'll come back and it just seal the game. And with no weapons, he feels like the hero that like Lyeth feels like he's on a clock. Pleiades kind of feels like she's on a clock. Everyone's on a clock in this format because you're just running out of threat density, except for KO. But you have to have the blues. You have to have the right cards. So when you find them, it's really fun to play that like sneaky cheater mentality, right? Where you're like cheating out this damage and people are like, well, I'm going to block with this. And they're like, nope, I'm cheating it. And it's pretty heads up, but it's still a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, he's awesome. I really grew to love him in CC. I'm still more of a tough nut enjoyer in limited, like old school blocking and tackling, kind of like, hey,
dude, he's such a menace in limited, like in draft and sealed, because it's just like, well, okay, it's tough nut. I like again, like with KO, I've found that it's just like, okay, I got to start pitching these cards and like, because I'm gonna, and I found it. The craziest thing is like I found myself the first time in Fab being like, Tough Nut will create like 4 toughness tokens or like 5, right? They'll get their like combo together. I'll just have to pass.
Yeah.
I was telling a buddy of mine at Worlds, we like came back together after a round, and he's like, man, I just got fatigued by a Tough Nut. And he was telling me about the game, and he's like, yeah, he got like 6 toughness tokens. I was like, well, what'd you do? And he's like, well, I just attacked. I'm like, no. I was like, you just have to pass. I was like, just arsenal if you can and pass. And he's like, really? I'm like, as crazy as that sounds, I think that's the right answer, because it's just like you lose so much value because they block with 1 card and you like lose a whole red attack or even, a whole card out of your deck. And it's just like devastating. So it was like it's a weird, he makes you do weird stuff, man.
Oh yeah. Well, then he can really punish you too, right? Like, if you pass, he had a decent amount of go wide, like almost the most in the set sometimes. So,
right. It's like, that's happened too, where it's just like, okay, well, I hope he can't do much with those 4 cards. And then it's just like like a buck wild somehow. And then you're like, come on, man. Like, it's like, I can't deal with this now. So yeah, he's an interesting character to play against. And I played him a couple times and he's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. I just always seem to find the one bully tactics in the room when I play Tough Nut. Just like, oh, okay, well, you got me.
Right. Yeah.
So, well, there's no weapon really in this set, but is there? Oh wait, is there a weapon in the expansion slot? No, or just the dagger with?
Oh yeah.
With what's it called? With Spell Void? Was that this set? Oh my god, I can't remember.
No, I don't know. I don't think there's any Claw of Vincerikai, I think was High Seas, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. All right, no weapons. No weapons. I keep forgetting that. Favorite equipment?
So this one's going to be a little bit off the wall again, because these heroes aren't really my CC heroes. So I haven't, really dabbled at all in CC with these heroes just yet. But the Helm of Hindsight, I think it's called, is a cheeky pick, but like every time I pulled it in a sealed, I was like, how many backhands do I have? Because it was like, and then throughout the games, I would be like, we're definitely blocking with this backhand and pitching this clash card, and I'm just gonna wait. And I've been able to do it a couple times. The one time at Worlds where I got to do it, where I put the backhand out of my discard into the top of my deck and then killed my opponent with the one ping. I drew up my hand. It was my last three cards in the deck. It was three blues. One of them was the clash card. Perfect. It was awesome.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and then the return to the boneyard. Is it return to the boneyard or visit the boneyard? Just like any kind of like deck manipulation is just so much fun, especially when with those backhands. Very cool. Now, what was your favorite card in the set to throw into your deck?
Dude, you know what I want to say, right? Another little bit of a cheeky pick. It's going to be Painful Passage, of course. Threw it right into my Vincent deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, also my spoiler. Yeah. Shout out LSS. Thank you for letting me do that. But I do really like that card. It's not like a game breaker for Vincent. I think it hints at maybe a little bit future design. But yeah, it's still a super card. I love flexibility in my Runeblade cards. When I get to, well, any card really, when I get to choose what to do with it, it's always very cool.
That card I've watched so many players like when it first came out have it in their decks and just like their brains would freeze and they'd be like, oh wait, I need to banish something that I can play, right. And then like it needs to go again, blah 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 blah. No, that's an awesome pick, and of course, your spoiler. It's a great pick. Always pick the spoiler. Now, are you reviled or are you revered?
I think like if I'm gonna be honest, I think I'm more reviled. Like if I was to pick, again, the last time I was on the show, we talked about it. And I just always lean towards the monastery. It's just like my jam. And I think they're probably going to be a little bit more reviled than revered. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I think I'll just, I mean, I guess it's like, it's hard because it's like, also it's like you're admitting that you're like a cheater.
Yeah.
Like it was like full on cheating. So it's just like, I don't know about this, but I don't know if revered is quite my jam.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I think you are a revered person in general.
Yes, but in real life, yes.
But you know, yeah, I lean towards reviled too. Although there was just something about Tough Nut, and I think like if you're gonna be revered, you should also be kind of like dumb or like like dim-witted. Like kind of like lovable idiot kind of thing, which to me that's what Tough Nut seemed like. If we got some lore on the website, it would be nice to know a little bit more about these heroes. But I digress.
Dude, everyone loves the Hulk, right? He's just the Incredible Hulk.
He's incredible.
He's not angry, but he's the opposite in anger. But he's just a big like dude that doesn't feel any damage and just like is super tough and super strong, right?
Yeah, I love it. Now, since the last time you were on, I forget when exactly it was, has there been an update in your greatest set of all time?
So I think I'm pretty sure I said that Rosetta was like my GOAT set. And honestly, like is how cool High Seas was. I do still think Rosetta still takes the cake for me. It's got Runeblades in it, but even past that, right? Like I even mentioned it in my last video, is that like I just continually talk about Rosetta cards because they like hold value. They're super strong. The heroes are all now we've come full circle with Osilio doing well in Valencia. Now all the heroes are like putting in work. So it's like, how many sets can you say that like within a year of release have been like top meta, right? I think, I don't know if there's been another set like that. Well,
MST.
Yeah. I realized as soon as I was saying it, but it's just like, I think, I don't know if that's a mark of a great set, but I think it's definitely if it's going to be a GOAT set, it's got to have like the heroes shine. And I think these heroes do it more fairly than Misfail heroes,
Yes.
to be fair. Right. So yeah, I think that puts it as a GOAT set still for me.
That's a fair answer. We will see though if the Compendium of Wraith unseats it. Interesting. You know, I have a lot of guests that do say supplemental sets. Compendium of Wraith is a supplemental set. At least, I guess it seems like. I don't know if they've said that specifically, or it's an expansion set. How do you feel, first of all, about the return of supplemental sets to the game?
Yeah, so I think correct me if I'm wrong here, but the last one we've gotten was Dust Till Dawn, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I would say after Dust Till Dawn and like kind of simmering on that set for a bit was a pretty fun open. But simmering, I would say closer to that set being released, I'd say, yeah, I'm okay with the expansion slot. That's a cool idea. We don't need supplemental sets anymore. Now, fast forward about a year to now, and when they announced that it was a supplemental set, I was like, you know what? I think we need supplemental sets again, and I really like it. Yeah, I kind of went back and forth on it, to be honest. I was like, okay, expansion slots cool, that's fine. But yeah, I just think now when I think about the possibilities and I think back to like Crucible, like how much they can expand a hero or a class or a talent in a supplemental set, they could never do it in an expansion slot. You know, we can get like commons and rares for Vincent that unlock a different path through our deck. We can get for any hero, right? But you know, and it was really cool, and I think it can like power up, you know, underperforming heroes very quickly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think that's very cool.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess I'm like you, where I think my knee-jerk reaction is like, oh man, I mean, I like drafting, I like limited, but you know, there also has to be a certain amount of realism we need to have as fans of the game that are like, okay, first of all, we're getting a ton of heroes getting injected into CC, right? Mm-hmm. 3 sets a year. It's, you know, not that many heroes, depending on the year, are LLing, and they just change the rules. So, and it also becomes probably increasingly difficult for them to test everything. And we've seen that, right? You know, with certain things getting slipped through the goalposts. So yeah, I'm a fan of it. I mean, I'm gonna really kind of wait until I see everything, but I hope that it has that Crucible of War feeling, right? Because I think Everfest did some cool stuff, right? But it felt like more like, hey, here's Swing Big and a bunch of Runeblade cards.
Everfest actually, you know, I've looked back and reflected on Everfest a little bit recently, just chatting with some friends, and Everfest is more cracked than you remember. Mm-hmm. And like, I guess for the listeners out there, just kind of go back and like follow me down this path. But like, we got those blue auras for Prism, which is like sent her off the LL. We got Swing Big, which is still a crazy brute card, as you had mentioned. We got some Runeblade cards that were very good, Swarming Gloomveil. We got like Macho Grande. We got what else is going on in there? We got Stalagmite.
Stalagmite was in there.
Stalagmite was in there. It was like a pretty top to bottom, like kind of cracked set. It was Ether Wildfire was in that set as well. It's just like all these old staples that you kind of forget were in Everfest, and you're just like, oh man, that was like an
was Rain Razors in there too?
Yes, Rain Razors was also in that set. Yeah,
I guess there was some heat. You know, at the time it didn't feel like heat for everybody because the Runeblades were so good. But
yeah, for sure. And then Starvo was in the set as well, so that just like skewed everything. But yeah, I think there was some like, I think we're on the same wavelength because, you know, if I hope it's closer to Crucible. Actually, I hope it's like better than Crucible when it comes
Mm.
to like crazy things in it. Like we got mandible claws in Crucible, right? That like how crazy is that weapon? Like
Yeah.
I kind of hope we get some stuff like that in this set because I was going to bring up the point, and I think you mentioned it as well, is that I think they're hopefully they supercharge some heroes that are
Mm.
just like underperforming or like maybe on the cusp, and then we just see them in like 2 seasons from now, LL. I can tell you right now, as a Runeblade fan, if Vincent gets like two or three kind of, if she gets like a Rune Ranger Swarm type card,
Yeah.
uh, see you later. She's going to LL like almost instantly. It's gonna feel almost instantly because she when she does her stuff that like she's supposed to be doing when it feels good and everything's going good, it's like a deck that's like really hard to beat.
Yeah.
And I think she's like a prime target, and I'm using her as an example. And like maybe they can do this with like Bolton, or they can chum up something for heroes to like push them. And then, like you said, maybe some of them finally LL, right? And then
Yeah.
we get some churn, and yeah, it could be really fun, right? We've kind of seen this like power down, power up, and this could be we could be back on the upslope of like fun things to do in Flesh and Blood, right?
Yeah, I would love to see that, and like I think the thing that has me the most hopeful for this set is its tie-in with Silver Age, right? Because
Hmm.
looking back at like we said, Crew, Everfest, Dust Till Dawn, Dynasty, these other supplemental sets that we've had like a plethora of like commons and rares that like
Hmm.
it seemed like only a few of them were going to get used. I mean, I just remember opening so much Dynasty and looking at a lot of
Hmm.
those cards and being like, I mean, I guess some of these are going to see some play, but
Yeah.
with like a whole like format that is going to be dedicated to this in tandem with this releasing, I have a lot of hope there. Now, my question with this, and I want to ask you because I know you're a fan of the monastery and you want to see how the story ends with Monarch. I
Hmm.
I would have I would have bet money like 6 months ago that the first set of this year was going to be Monarch 3. And now it's not. And we know that and we know that the possibly the second set is going to be whatever the Return of Aurora is. Maybe,
Hmm.
or if we just get like an armory deck, but that remains to be
Yeah.
seen. Could this mean that we have to wait till the end of the year for Monarch 3?
Man, I hope not. We were actually standing right next to each other when they hit the
Mhm.
trailer. And dude, the dudes at LSS are like top tier trolls because they literally started off the trailer with it showing Solana in the middle of the map. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, here we go. And then, the rest of it happened. I was like, all right, you got me. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I fully expect Aurora to come back in an Armory deck, like Origins type
Okay.
product. Maybe like hot take here. Maybe she's in like a two-player starter or something that, because they've kind of shown us like, hey, Hella's coming out and this is an Origins. So like it kind of the timing's weird there, right? Because you'd have to drop a couple Armory decks in a row. Maybe we have to wait for Aurora Origins
Mhm.
for like because they like it seems like they like to put out the Armory decks towards the end of the year, maybe for holiday purposes. But my counterpoint to or like what I'm hopeful that Monarch is the middle set of the year is that it would christen it to be like the third year in a row where we get the like hype set
Yeah.
in the summer, right? Because we got Miss Vale, which was crazy. We got like Marvel Chi. We got crazy. It was just a nuts set, right?
Mhm.
And then we got High Seas, which again, Necromancer, tons of Marvels, the Gold Pack, all that jazz. So I think if you're going to do Monarch 3, you're probably going to like really go hard, and it's going to be a set to open, right? So I'm
Yeah.
hoping it is the next set after Compendium, but um, could be. They like to throw curveballs. Like I said, they're like top tier trolls. That trailer got me.
Yeah. Yeah, that trailer. Yeah, we were right next to each other, and we were like, "What the?" This was.
Yeah.
And then it was like so much stuff. You're like, "What is this gonna be?" And then it
Yeah.
made sense in the end. But
Mhm.
yeah, I guess I don't remember the exact timing of Monarch, but I know Dusk Till Dawn was a summer set, and
Yep.
at least up here in the
Monarch was like late spring, I think.
late spring.
Yeah.
Kind of, and then I think not extended edition, but it was first edition and then unlimited, and unlimited was like summer, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I guess it would make sense. Another summer, kind of cap off that thing, and then they can kind of start. They're doing the Compendium of Wraith, and they can say, all right, we're closing the book on Wraith. We're going to expand that map. We're going to see what else is going on. And then, here's the thing. In the third set, they go to the Savage Lands because they haven't been there. But, apparently in the lore, the person who wrote the lore book or whatever never got past the Savage Lands. So, that would be a nice exit of Wraith as well. Just a thought, LSS, if you just wanted to do that. Now, I want to ask you about a lot of stuff, but antiquities, these packs. What do you think about the look of them, the idea of them? I think you probably have a little bit more of your finger on the pulse of what these are going to do.
Yeah, so I think I was a big fan of the gold packs in High Seas for sure. I thought it was really cool. There was, they had their issues, like when you pull that like Treasure Island exclusive card, you're like, damn, that sucks. But I guess there has to be there has to be misses so that there's hits, right? But looking at the Antiquities pack, it's super interesting. They put out like the rarity distribution on them, and they've kind of like broken down what's in them. One thing that maybe people aren't talking about too much, and it's not a big thing, but there's going to be rainbow foil puzzle pieces in them, which I think is kind of neat. I think that's like a cool like addition. But so I'm looking at it right now. So there's a non-foil Antiquity Majestic, a cold foil Antiquity Majestic, or a non-foil Antiquity Fabled, and the Fableds are all non-foiled. So I think they're pretty cool. I like the idea of kind of doing an alt art. The border I think looks pretty cool. I want to see them in person, right? I think they'll look better in person. I think they look good already. But yeah, I think it's interesting that they're putting like non-foil Fableds in there, and it seems like it's very generic oriented.
Yeah.
Which speaks to probably a fair amount of, or maybe even all reprints of like, and I guess that's what they said, right? It's like a collection of the most powerful, or not most powerful, but like the most iconic generics from race past. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my Antiquities Deathmatch Arena Fable.
Well, there's only 3 Fableds, and I would guess that it's 3 generics that are probably the most played, right? Eye, Heart. The third one's kind of up for debate, right?
Yeah,
and I'm not sure which one that would be, but
I mean, I would guess like Tropeldani.
That would not be a bad one, actually. A non-foil version of that. Yep.
Keep those Arcanite shards nice and high priced for everybody.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be printing a legendary Fabled as like a reprint, right? That doesn't seem like a high reprint target,
Yeah.
Maybe not in this set. Maybe in Monarch 3, right? If they keep going down this route.
Yeah, well, that'll be the return of Viscerai, right? In Monarch 3.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Now, it should be interesting with the Antiquities. I'm with you. I need to see those in person because, like, yeah, it looks, I guess, kind of cool. Like, I'm not a huge fan of it, like, based on what I'm seeing here. But I've also been not, like, a fan of some other stuff that I've seen at first. And then you see the actual card. And then you're like, okay, I could see. Yeah. I could see the vision now. But, Now,
one gripe that I have
yeah.
that okay, so I do have a gripe, and I don't like to, because it's like you know, everybody has their thing, right? And I don't really like to yuck people's yum. But the one thing that kind of bothers me, and I'm actually more reprint friendly, I would say, than maybe people would imagine. So I do think that reprints are necessary. We'll have to see how they're done here. But the shelter reprint, especially in the antiquity version, kind of like, man, that one kind of bummed me out a little bit because it's like we got the EAs and Hunted,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
extended arts, rainbow foils, and then they just like put this one in this pack that's extended micro text box. It's probably better art too, if I'm going to be honest. Just for me personally,
Ooh, interesting.
I think the arts, they're comparable, but I do like the antiquity art better, and it comes in rainbow foil, so it's just like, man, you just like upstage the Hunted micro text box shelters completely, and I'm like, but minor gripe, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean that's totally fair. I'm gonna. I don't know. Now that I'm looking at Shelter from the Storm from this set in regular text box, because I'm
Mhm.
guessing it's actually going to be in the set regularly as
Yep, it is.
well.
Yep.
It looks. I mean, I wasn't super sold on the antiquity version, funny enough, but I like the way it
Hmm.
looks there as well. But I'll be sticking with my Hunted ones
Yeah,
because
same.
I
Yeah.
don't know how much this will affect the price of the Hunted ones because the card's still insane.
Yeah, they're quite hard to pull.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
But now, in terms of like some heroes off the top of your head, who has the most to gain from Compendium? Because they said that everybody's
Mm.
getting something.
Yeah, I think Warriors probably
Mm-hmm.
have the most to gain. Just because they're kind of in and out of the meta. Like Fang has his spots, right, where he shows up and does a thing. But we got Door. There's just like a lot of warriors out there that just need. I guess it's because I think I'm saying this because we're gonna get a bunch of weapons,
Yeah.
and I think okay, so obviously warriors are a purely weapon based class. And
Yeah.
so if you're gonna like give a bunch of cool new weapons, like maybe one-handed weapons and shields for warriors for Silver Age, maybe that just shifts how some of these warriors are built in CC as well.
Mm-hmm.
If they make the weapons interesting enough, I could see it happening, right? So I think overall, if like what hero could or like what class could see the most boost would probably be warriors, would be my guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like Fang has some relevance. I think Kasai probably has the most relevance right now. Although I keep saying
Oh
like
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Dories will pop up, right? A
yeah.
good Dorinthia player can win any tournament. I think like that's like kind of just how she operates. But um, yeah, it'd be interesting. I think I like that idea with weapons because right, yeah, like they're all dictated like how those decks are built by their weapon, right? You got your
Hmm.
Decimator Great Axe
Yep.
decks. You got your Centauri sabers or your hatchets kind of thing going on. A little bit different, but operate the same. You're
Well.
getting max Valiant Dynamo stuff, and then there's like your Dawnblade, and
Hmm.
we can mess around with some other weapons. I mean, I think a warrior can do a bunch of different cool things with weapons. So that'd be kind of neat. I like that idea.
Hmm.
Will here's a question for you. You've opened a lot of product, right?
Hmm.
And you've probably opened up a lot of Riptide specialization cards in multiple sets.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the over under on how many more it will take for Riptide to be the king?
Dude, oh my God. Yeah, it was kind of an ongoing bit actually on my channel for a while. It's just like, well, we're just gonna throw this Riptide spec in the D tier and move on. Yeah, it's gonna take a couple more, man, I think. So Riptide has a really cool hero ability, but
Mm-hmm.
he's like he's trapped with traps in a
Yeah.
sense, right? Like if his hero ability was like if it stopped and you didn't have to like try to build around traps, which you don't really have to. Well, maybe it's arrows that limit him the most. Like if he had
Hmm.
another way to attack with a weapon, he could be kind of crazy because there's like a lot of like interesting things you can do, putting cards in your arsenal and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like they keep every specialization just keeps pushing them towards like you have to run 50% of your deck as traps.
Yeah. Which you know
And
what? I'm not gonna lie. I love doing that. So keep
it's
them
cool, but
coming.
like it like needs a very specific meta to like
Hmm.
kind of play in, right? Like you have to have heroes that have go again, that buff their power, and like if the meta doesn't have a bunch of that, then you're kind of just like stuck, and
Hmm.
you're like, oh, my deck doesn't do anything now. So I don't know, like maybe he gets some specs that are just like on reveal this trap does 3 damage or something, and it kind of like speeds up the inevitability of his traps somehow. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, I he'll definitely get a spec in this next set, so be
Yeah.
prepared for it.
Oh
I don't
man,
know what it's gonna be, but
you know what? Like I think honestly, I think a lot about that hero and what he needs, and it usually is a good meta for him. But the thing is, the decks that are good are not good for him to run into. Specifically, I think right now the biggest plague for Riptide is Florian and Verdance existing.
mhm,
Right? There's just inevitability there. It's just hard to
yeah,
like at least on the slow grindy Riptide. I think
right,
like fast Riptide actually has a really good matchup into them. You can run Dreadbore
right,
and kind of
hmm,
like make them stumble. But if you want to play like the control Riptide, which I really enjoy,
yeah.
you're kind of screwed. But we'll see. We'll see.
You know what his spec should be, and I literally never thought about this until this very moment, Tommy. His spec should be a trap that gives your opponent an aura, like
Hmm.
Frost Hex, that is like poison gas or like a net. And then when they have a net under their control, they're trapped. When you activate a trap, it does 2 damage, or like it
Ooh.
like multiplies the damage.
I kind of like that. Oh
That'd be
man.
kind of cool, right?
Okay, well, let me push it even further. What if you give them this like this aura thing, this net, and it's got okay, we'll make it fair. It's got 3 counters on it. At the
Yeah, yeah.
beginning of their turn, remove a counter, create a bait token.
Oh, yeah, that could work. Also, yeah, I don't know how good bait token. I don't know how good bait tokens are,
So
but
good.
like they yeah, they have their place, right?
Mm.
But yeah, I think that would be great. I think putting like yeah, my idea was probably way busted, but like having it timed where it was like three three counters,
Hmm.
and for 3 turns traps do multiple damage or something, or gives you another, like you said, a bait token to like just mess you up. I think it would be pretty cool. You could like pitch stack it. If you're like this defensive deck, you could pitch stack it for like once they're under 10 health, you like throw a net
Yeah.
on them, and then the
Ooh.
traps do extra damage. I think it'd be pretty cool.
That'd be pretty cool. And it doesn't even have to be a trap itself. It could just be like an aura,
Mhm.
non-attack action. So then you get your value off your chain reaction card.
There
So
you go. Yeah.
yeah, oh man, it's all coming together. Uh,
All the
oh
Riptide
man,
fans out there, I hope it happens for you guys. That
yeah,
would be pretty sweet.
it would be sweet, and people would probably hate it. I like when. Here's the thing about
Oh,
Riptide.
dude.
As a Riptide player, when you're playing against a deck that's really bad against Riptide, you see like the life get like
Yeah.
drained from their face and their eyes. They're just like, oh, I can't
Yeah.
do anything here.
Right. Yeah. It's just like the fatigue. It's like the fatigue angle, right? You're kind of
Hmm.
fatiguing them, but then you're also doing damage. And it's like the inevitability of it, right? It's just like, man, I can't go to one because I'm just going to die. Yeah. You locking people up is, can be fun when you're doing it to other people.
Yeah,
It's not so fun when it's happening to you, though. That's for sure.
yeah. Oh man, but either way, I'm pretty excited for Compendium. and whatever it brings the heroes that I like. Any final thoughts on Compendium before we get to some listener questions?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just like I kind of hit on it a little bit. I'm excited for weapons, armor, offhands. I really hope that there's like one-handed weapons. For my personal, like for me personally, I would love to see some more one-handed rune blade weapons. I thought Scepter was super cool, but it's not allowed to be around when amp is is a thing. So understandably, it had to go. But I think like like we already got a tome for it's a majestic, so it'd be for CC, but pay one, make a rune chant. That's super interesting. So I'm excited to see how that gets expanded even more for Silver Age, right? Because they said there's lots of armor, lots of weapons in this set. So
yeah, it should be interesting. Still, kind of. I don't know if I talked about this on the main podcast or on the Patreon app, but Savage Claw. I'm thinking that we're gonna get a way to untap these claws because why else would it have the tap? I mean, I get like they're going away from once per turn, but
yeah,
what?
Yeah, I think that tapping and untapping does allow them to do that. Maybe if it's not in this set, it's in a future set, a future brute set, right? It's actually a really smart way of like kind of getting around the once per turn. It takes down the word count a bunch on cards, and it gives you this whole new space of like, okay, well maybe we can get brute untap a weapon, type card. So
I think it'll be cool. Yeah, I mean, I think what is my point. I think that like I said was like, well, Savage Claw has this tap thing. Obviously, you can create more action points with scab skins, but also the concealed weapon from Super Slam. I think that was just a tap, and then it gets destroyed at the end of turn. So if RKO starts untapping stuff, I could see it getting a little crazy. But that's just a thought. Now, let's get to some listener questions. These come from the Buds Discord, free for anybody to join. And the first one comes from the question bot himself, Capolo. Is the TED colors in your logo a reference to fab pitches? If so, any particular reason for the order being 2, 1, 3?
So yes, they are. And I kind of had to think about this because I was kind of prepping for these questions, and I think first of all, it's more readable. I think if the red color was the first color, it would be like who's Ed.
Okay.
Your eye just wouldn't see it right away. But I think honestly, and I had to go back and look when I had the logo commissioned. I think I did use a bunch of reference images from Twisted Fate, the Riot character from League of Legends. I used to play Legends of Runeterra all the time. Twisted Fate was one of my favorite heroes in that card game. And a lot of his imaging has yellow, red, blue in a row. So I was like, it might be that reason, but also I do think it's been so long, but I do think I remember talking to the artist and we talked about that, where like if we make the red the darkest color with the T, it kind of can confuse, right?
Yeah.
So Twisted Fate and a little bit of readability going on there.
Makes sense. TCGTed is your like bizarro form. The evil TCGTed running around.
Upside down Ted.
Next question comes from Darth Prentice, who asks, any thoughts on how much the cost of Eye of Ophidia will come down after Pen?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because we haven't really seen this type of reprint. Obviously, Fables have never been reprinted. We've seen some Legendaries reprinted. We've seen some Majestics reprinted, upshifted to Legendary to kind of keep the quantities reasonable at times. I think, again, it's only non-foil, so it's like, okay, if you run only rainbow foils, you're going to want the old Eye of Ophidia. but then it's also micro text box. There's a lot going on with this reprint, so it's like hard to like get a judge, and then also print rate. Like, are these going to be a little bit harder to get than the other Antiquities? Are they going to be, it just depends on a lot of factors. I did look it up. I think Iowa Fidia is sitting at like $300-400 right now. It's quite expensive card. I could see it dropping, just with the accessibility of the other version and a lot of pro players wanting to play non-foils in their deck. It might become the old rainbow foil might become less desirable to players. And we could probably drop it like $100 to $150 probably. So again, there's like a ton of factors that play into that, right? Like if Gravy becomes unplayable, then it drops $150 naturally without a reprint, right? So
and Kano LLing in January, almost definitely.
Playability has a lot to do with it as well. So I think it was needed, right? Though some of those old fableds are getting kind of out of control. Heart is, you kind of have to time your purchasing of them if you are a longtime Fab player, right? Like Heart's a good time to buy Heart now, but with it being probably reprinted, this will inject a little bit more, fluidity or stock into the market. So that'll definitely help.
Yeah, I'm excited for potentially having a non-foil version of these cards because I like the non-foils. Those rainbow foils just go right into a different pile when I open my product. Next question comes from William, who certainly is going to ask a totally serious question from the Table Pit, by the way, if you didn't know. Any thoughts on how Bic stocks will go up after the invention of the pen?
I'm guessing he's talking about Bic pens. Yeah. So, I don't know, man. Man, it's been so long since I've done a buy list with Nate. It's like this is just cardboard, man. This ain't financial advice.
Thank you.
I got no thoughts on stocks.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Me neither. And finally, from Sigma asks, how are you seeing the current market for TCGs? Is there a menace to Flesh and Blood with these popular franchise TCGs like One Piece, Lorcana, and now Riftbound rising up? Or is Flesh and Blood just stable and growing in secondary markets?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think he hinted at kind of what his thought might be about this matter, right? Is that I don't think there's always going to be ebbs and flows. And I think as a Fab fan, and like for people that, if you're watching this, you're probably a fan of Flesh and Blood, is that I think, we just have to come to the realization that this is more of a slow burn and there'll always be a Riftbound. There'll always be a Star Wars Unlimited. There'll always be a One Piece. And they'll always do better than Fab. Just like pure facts, because it's an IP that everybody loves and knows, and it's just going to pop off, right? Riftbound, from everything I've heard, I don't really engage in it at all, to be honest, but, it's going crazy because it's a great IP, right? But that's kind of also the superpower of Flesh and Blood and LSS, is that as long as they're staying the course, they'll kind of always be here because they are the best game, like hands down. I've talked to, and I'm sure Tommy, you've talked to tons of people too, but when I talk to people that have left like One Piece this is no slight on those other card games either, but the one thing I hear consistently is that this game's just mechanically and fun wise better than the others. So we got that going for us, and then we also have the best OP scene, hands down, right? I mean, it's just not a question. It might not be as big as these other OPs, and as grand, right? Star Wars had 2,500 people at their worlds and stuff. I don't think we quite got there. We had a sizable amount, but and that was their first worlds too, right? So, but it's just put together. It's well run. They've got it figured out, and then also it's just a great competitive game. So, that's what he said. It's like, or is it stable and just growing? It's like I think that's a perfect way of putting it. It's just a stable, slow burn, and you know, next year there'll be another card game that Gundam or some other IP that's just bigger, you know. But I think LSS knows that, and they've talked about it a little bit, and they're just like, okay, we'll be here instead of being here for 2 or 3 years like some of these other games might rise and fall. I think LSS is in it for the long haul, right? And they just keep one foot in front of the other, which is cool for the fan of, or cool to be part of this game, right? So
Yeah, and something I like. I look at when I see things like now Riftbound and things like Star Wars and all these other games that like attract like huge audiences, is a lot of people just getting into card games with those games because they really like the IP. And then if they get hooked on card games, they're going to be like, okay, this Star Wars one's whatever, or this Riftbound one is cool. And like, I mean, I don't know a lot about the Riftbound game, but all I've heard was it's a cool multiplayer format. I don't know about serious beyond that, but they're going to be like, oh, maybe I want something a little bit more competitive. You take a little Google search and you're like, what's a good competitive card game? Flesh and Blood's probably going to pop up, right? Just naturally. And they're like, well, check that out. Never heard of that. And boom, they're listening to this episode right now.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And you hinted at it earlier in the episode, that I think I've actually was asked for my feedback. And my number one feedback right now to LSS would be, you need to get moving on lore as fast as like I know it's like it takes a lot and it's not a simple thing to do. Like, yes, on the surface, it's like, yeah, it's easy. It's like, yeah, but to make good lore, it takes a lot of time and it takes really talented people. So I'm not surprised that they're slow at it, but that's the thing where you just need a hook a lot of the times, right? And Luke Skywalker, everybody knows who he is, but also it's the lore's there, right? Like, and I think, I used to play Warhammer all the time, and the lore is like insane, right? You can't get to that level of lore shortly, but that's the hook, man. Like, you gotta, like, that's the only way to really compete with these bigger ones is like start building your lore and start getting it set in stone. So it's like in 4 years from now, someone's like, man, like this X hero, like, what's going on here? And there's like a story, right? Like, oh, Dorinthia, she watched her master perish to the salon or to the shadows, and then she rose again, and then like just keep building that lore up. And once it gets like to a breaking point, I think that's when you can start hooking people with just lore, right? And we're not there yet. Like you said, there's like no stories about Tough Nut, and I would say like just keep pushing. Like you gotta get that lore out, because I think that's like the other side of the coin to like a really successful game that's long lasting.
I agree. I mean, I never really read the Magic the Gathering like novels they put out, but like I always appreciated that they were there, right? I'm like, oh,
yeah,
like cool. Like, I'm recognizing this cover of this book from cards I've played. So yeah. I think like we'll see.
they have a really solid base, right? And like when I went back and I was doing a bunch of like lore freshening up for my spoiler video and stuff like that, right? There's like a lot of cool stuff about Viserai. There's a lot of cool stuff about Monarch. There's it's kind of there, but they just need to be pushing it a little bit harder, in my opinion. I hope we see that change in 2026, to be honest, because I think, to me, I like a lot of my past games that I've engaged with, like Warhammer, Star Wars. Again, like Star Wars is like a simple one, but it's like they have lore, and they don't have to sell the card. You don't have to sell the game to the card player when it's Luke Skywalker. It's like, I just want to play Luke Skywalker. Let me buy some packs, right? And like, yeah, you're probably never going to do that with like Florian or anything, but put out some sick box art where it's Shadow Viserai clashing with Light Dory, and and the Nebula Blade or Reaping Blade is like, they're hitting together with the Dawn Blade. Come on. Right?
Yeah.
And then put a cool like story packet in that 2-player starter set that talks about Dory and Viserai, and then it gets people hooked, man.
I think so. I mean, golly, hopefully Compendium is what changes it, but there's just so much to explore there. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I think they know that. I think they know that. But
I do too. I think, and I've said this before, is one thing that, as I've played this game and followed LSS, is that they are open. They're very open to change. Mm-hmm. They might have, someone in the comments might pick out a time where they've been very stubborn, but if I look at how much product I've opened and how different each product's been, and like how, Super Slime, a Guardian that does like go wide or like, plays a bunch of non-attacks, and like all those heroes are just completely different, mm-hmm. Than what you would expect from a Brute or a Guardian. So I do think that they're very open to change. And so that always gives me hope, right? Because if, that's when it gets a little disappointing, is when some other games I've followed, when you can tell that the developer's just stubborn. They're like, this is the right way. We don't care. We're going to ban this card, or we're going to ban this model, or, and then you can see it, the players lose hope at that point. But with LSS, they've been very flexible, right? Well, okay, LL isn't quite working the way we want. We'll switch it, so.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I think a final comment on it is the true test for LSS and lore in the future will be the Savage Lands, because and this is like, it's a little funny because like I'm harping on it, but like,
yeah.
It's going to be hard to nail. Like, all we know about these brutes is that they're like savages and like all this, like they're just violent and stuff like that. That can't be everything. There needs to be, they need to build out that world, because we don't really know a lot about it. Like, we got some stuff with Rhinar, but we need to see what's going on there. LSS.
Yeah. And you're exactly right. And that's why I said, it's like, it's easy to go on Twitter or like go on, talk about Edge Armor and be like, it's easy. Why isn't there lore for this? Why aren't they dropping this? It's like, well, there's a lot there. Like, if you want to build out good lore, you have to like tie things together in like meaningful ways and like give hints. And it's not there's creatives out there that, I couldn't do it, but it's very easy for them. But like you said, with Savage Lands, it's like, you can't just be like, well, they're just a bunch of people walking around and Rhinar is the chief and they bow to him. And it's like, well, that's boring then. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to make these heroes compelling, right? And that's not the easiest thing in the world to do, right? Or it takes time, really.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not hard, but it just takes time. So, but they got to get going on it, man. They got to get going on it.
They really do. But speaking of get going, we're going to get going. And this has been another great episode. And Ted, you're the man. This was a lot of fun. I'm excited to have you on again after this. We'll see when.
Yeah, let me know.
You're going to be waiting, and then I will be like DMing. And that's kind of how it works, actually, guys. There's not a lot of secrets to it. But can you please plug everything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, so it's TCGTed on Twitter or X, on Blue Skies, on YouTube, pretty much everywhere. Check me out. I do market minute videos every weekend. I have a stream on Tuesdays where I open up product. Been doing that for like 3 years now. So, not every Tuesday, but most Tuesdays. And if you're ever interested in any kind of like card pricing, shifting, things like that, check out my market minutes. I look at 6 cards, 10 minutes at a time every weekend. So
sweet. Please check it out. You all can continue to find me on Blue Sky at freshbudspod. Discord is in the show notes below. If you're watching on YouTube, give us the old like, comment, subscribe. Fresh Juice is the podcast I do with my cousin. We talk about indie video games every week. That is also weekly. And finally, Patreon. I've been doing bonus episodes there every week as well, and we have new Talishar sleeves up as well. I think you can pick from 2 now. So, finally, always like to talk about food. You've been a traveling man the past 6 months. What's the best thing you ate in Philly or Auckland?
Dude, Philly. So that market that was like right down the street. Is it Reading Terminal Market?
Yep, that's it.
There was like not a bad thing in that somehow. It was crazy. I did some reading on it. I'm obviously not from the East Coast. Maybe you knew about this lore long before I did. But I guess they like purposely don't allow in franchises into that place. So it's like all these like mom and pop shops, and it was Tommy Deluxe was like this hot meat sub place, and they had a line of like 50 people, and I was just like, man, this looks amazing. And I swear they're the most efficient at making those subs, dude. It was like a hot Italian beef type sandwich, and it was delicious. Ended up getting 2 of them, and I was gonna get a third, but they were closed on Sunday, so so I ended up getting 2 of them, and it was amazing, man. It was super cool.
Yeah, well, you called them a sub. You know, the Philly people out there are gonna murder you for not saying hoagie, but that's okay.
Okay.
I know what you mean. No.
See, I told you I don't know that lore, dude.
Yeah, Reading Terminal Market is a godsend, and it's just so good. And
yeah, it was amazing.
As soon as I heard that it was going to be Philly and it was going to be at the convention center, I was like, oh, people are going to love that.
Yeah, so it was like just went there breakfast, lunch, and dinner most days, dude. Nice. It was crazy. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Not a bad thing in there.
No, definitely not. And unfortunately, because there's not a bad thing in there, we don't have time for Charmer, but I'm sure we'll get to him at some point. Everybody, please stay fresh.